There are a lot of different questions asking what would be better. Would it be better to have a kid be adopted by a homosexual couple or be in an orphanage or on the streets? Would it be better for a child to stay with negligent biological parents or go to the foster system? Even questions all like, should homosexuals be legally prevented from adoption or fostering? And how is it fair to, where was it? Does a heterosexual person have the right to say a person with same-sex attraction shouldn't have a child?
Very good. Great questions.
So a lot of different questions about it.
So I'll touch on some of those and then you guys can be like, but I want that. Okay, number one, gay people do not have a right to adopt. Number two, heterosexual people do not have a right to adopt. No adult has a right to adopt. Children who have lost their parents have a right to be adopted, okay? So that's the first thing to understand. This whole debate about, well, same-sex couples need to have equal access. No, you don't need equal access. Nobody gets equal access. Nobody gets access to children who need to be adopted. Okay, the child is the client. Now, if you have more questions about this, I brought a few of our booklets, and there's a page on adoption versus donor conception, and kind of drawing out some of these distinctions. There's also on our website, if you go to thembeforeus.com, in the search bar, there's a Google or a search position statement on adoption, okay? And this is how it goes. Okay, so when I was working at this Chinese adoption agency, and that was when China adoption was at its height, right? I remember going to my founder, the founder and director, and saying, I'm working really hard to get these parents approved. Boy, they're just running into so many roadblocks. And she's like, that's not our client. We are not here for them. We're here for the kids. If the adult can't make it through the process, we're not here to serve them, right? So what the social worker needs to do is they need to say, given a variety of needs that this kid has, we need to find the best adults for this child. Now, some of those criteria are they biologically related? Whenever you can have a child adopted so that the kinship bonds can remain intact, do that. Is there a mother and father? Because developmentally, men and women do distinct and complementary things in child rearing, so that's important. Are they married? Marriage provides a level of stability that cohabitation simply does not. Are the parents able to manage the special needs? Can they take the sibling group so siblings can stay together? Are they financially, emotionally, and physically ready to parent the child? I mean, you have to look at a lot of different criteria to figure out what parents are going to best serve this child. Not how do we get a kid to these adults. Do you see how that works? And so there's actually a lot of subjective decisions that need to take place in adoption. Because oftentimes, a biologically related heterosexual married couple who's financially able to take all 3 children who are in need does not exist, okay? So a lot of times social workers have to make decisions, but I know same-sex couples who are raising kids, adopted kids, because they were the best fit. They were able to take the sibling group, or they were able to manage the child's multiple special needs. Back when before I had children, some friends of mine, a lesbian couple, said, we're gonna go overseas and adopt this older child with special needs. I know for a fact that several good Christian heterosexual couples had passed that kid over because it was gonna be a pretty tough go. And they're like, I think we'll wait for a kid that's younger with a little less, whatever, and then they can do that. So this lesbian couple was willing to take on a child that nobody else was, and they said, we could use your help. And I'm like, hell yeah, right? So we went, and it was a really tough trip. It was a really tough adoption, and it's been a really tough life. And the adoption agency made the right decision, right? This couple was willing to take on a child that a lot of heterosexual couples did not, and it's absolutely better for the kid to be raised with those 2 women than it is to be living in an orphanage. The child wouldn't be living. Right, she needed surgery. And so those are some of the subjective decisions that adoption agencies need to make. None of that means that you can then say, let's redefine marriage into a genderless institution and say mothers and fathers are optional in a child's life. Right, you can say sometimes a same-sex couple is the best placement for an adopted child, and you can still say, and there's an ideal, right? that biology matters and gender matters and marriage matters, and sometimes same-sex couples are the best placement. Those two things can live together. I think generally that kind of covers some of it.